I already said in my review that I quite like the OnePlus 6, not only because of its price. But how does it really stack up against other flagship smartphones, especially now that the Galaxy S9 Plus has gotten a lot cheaper? Hey, I'm Brian and this is OnePlus 6 versus Galaxy S9 Plus. As usual, let's get into look and feel first. Both phones are basically identical in size, but the S9 Plus is a millimeter thicker, and that's something that is surprisingly very noticeable when you hold both in your hand. Also because it's less rounded and heavier, it's just a more chunky feeling device overall. Still though, they share the same metal and glass build and are both equally as striking. The 6 is just a bit shinier. Both phones have some sort of water resistance, but only the S9 Plus has an official IP rating that makes me comfortable purposefully making it wet. Both have clicky buttons and each has a specialty. OnePlus has the alert slider that lets you easily mute the phone, something that is missing from the S9 Plus. That does have the Bixby button though. Apart from the placement that makes me confuse it with the volume rocker, I actually like that it's there. Not because of Bixby though, but rather since with the help of BX Actions, it's just another button that you can make do whatever you want. For example, open the Google Assistant. The OnePlus 6 has dual SIM, while the S9 Plus trades in that functionality for a micro SD card slot. This might not be a big downside on OnePlus's part though, since both phones come with 64GB as a base variant, but you can get the 6 with up to 256GB. When it comes to speakers, there's basically no competition. Because the S9 Plus has stereo speakers that are not only louder but also clearer and not as easily blocked, the OnePlus 6's single speaker is just left in the dust. Another category where the S9 Plus wins is the display. Don't get me wrong, the 1080p AMOLED panel on the OnePlus 6 is a fine screen, but the 1440p panel on the S9 Plus is just a lot better. It also has HDR support, which just looks amazing. The only downside is the slight distortion that comes from the curved sides, which do look good from a design standpoint though. OnePlus's screen has a notch, but I already said that I don't think it's a big deal, and it does lead to a little more screen in the same form factor. Inside the phones you'll find the same hardware if you're in North America. A Snapdragon 845 and 6GB of RAM. But the S9 Plus I have has the Exynos 9810 and the OnePlus 6 can also be had with 8GB of RAM. These identical specs don't lead to identical performance though. The 6 just feels more fluid and fast. The S9 Plus still has some hiccups here and there. This probably has a lot to do with software. OnePlus bets on stock Android with only minor additions and customization. That just naturally leads to a less resource-intensive OS that is also faster to update. Samsung on the other hand has their Samsung Experience on top of Android that has a boatload of features that you may or may not need. The always-on display that OnePlus doesn't offer is something that I like though. And it has gotten a lot better recently. You can now decide to get rid of all of the Samsung duplicate apps on first setup, and with a launcher and a stock theme for the built-in theme engine, it's very usable, even for a stock Android fanatic like me. Both run Android 8 of course, and you can unlock either phone with either your face or your fingerprint. OnePlus is a bit faster with both of these as well. When looking at the back, there is an immediate similarity, the dual cameras. The S9 Plus has two 12-megapixel sensors, one of which has a 2x optical zoom. The OnePlus 6 on the other hand opts for a 16 and a 20-megapixel sensor that share the same focal length. And while the OnePlus has a fixed f1.7 aperture, the S9 Plus can switch between f2.4 and f1.5. Don't get me wrong, the OnePlus 6 produces some good pictures, but the S9 Plus is just better. The colors just pop more on the S9 Plus and dynamic range is higher, though the 6's photos look a little more true to life. But especially in low light, the wider aperture just lets the S9 take the cake. Both phones have the same assortment of camera functions like a pro mode and a portrait mode on the front and rear cameras. Video recording is also good on both, with 4K at 60fps or super slow motion. Though I find OnePlus's 480fps for up to a minute more useful than Samsung's 960fps for just 0.2 seconds. Let's finish up with the endurance of either phone. Battery life on both is good, but on the OnePlus 6 it's very good. With a mix of video watching, messaging and browsing, what I'd call normal usage, the S9 Plus tops out at about 5.5 hours of screen on time, whereas the OnePlus 6 is closer to 7 hours. Of course, these numbers may vary depending on your usage, but you're still looking at about 20% better battery life on the OnePlus 6. Both phones charge pretty fast, but the 6 wins with dash charge. The S9 Plus takes about 50 minutes to 60%, with the OnePlus 6 getting to the same percentage in half an hour. And the S9 Plus also takes 30 minutes more to get to a full charge. Both have the same problem of an inflexible charging system though. Without the chargers with the respective proprietary technology that you get in the box, they charge very slowly. A plus on Samsung's end is that the S9 Plus features wireless charging though. So which phone is better? The OnePlus 6 has the better performance and battery life at a significantly lower price point. The S9 Plus, on the other hand, gives you the better camera and display, coupled with more extra features. Both are well built, and design and software are basically personal preference. You could of course take all of the pros for one phone as cons for the other, but overall I'd call this a tie. So now it's up to you to decide if you want the better display and camera experience together with more bells and whistles, or if you want to save $200 and get better performance and battery life in return. Since I like stock Android, I tend to go the latter route. In case you want to know more about either of these phones, the OnePlus 6 review can be found in the top right corner, and a Galaxy S9 Plus Revisited is coming next week. Thanks to Samsung for giving me the S9 Plus for review, and thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you know which buttons to press, and don't forget to press that follow button on Twitter. I'm Brian, and I'll see you in the next one.